razzle dazzle, we're the best.
No, the courts aren't on your side, but they're not on the tenant side either.
Jen, like you are independently wealthy when you are naked.
I am over treating property management the same as real estate sales.
I guess I'll lead the witness. I think it's freaking scammy. Welcome to Hold It with PM Jen, the show for real estate investors who buy and hold forever and ever. Amen.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Hold It with PM Jen. But today, I'm flipping the script. I'm Jessie, Jen's sister, business partner, and the person who's been watching this story unfold since we were kids. Today's episode is different. You hear a lot from Jen about the business, about real estate, and about holding it, but you don't always get the full picture of how she got here, what drives her, and where she's headed next. So I'm taking the mic and asking the questions only a little sister can get away with. We'll talk about childhood dreams, the wild ride of building one focus, and the bold vision she has for the future of this industry. It's personal and it's real. And it might just give you a new perspective on why Jen is such a fierce advocate for buy and hold investors.
Thanks for doing this, Jessie. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. I didn't have a huge choice, and I live to serve.
Well, in full disclosure, the podcast is my project, my baby. So I asked Jessie, I said, hey, Jessie, she's willing to be on the podcast, but she really doesn't do the prep. So I told her what we needed today, and we're sitting in the bedroom of her home, which I've deemed as the best sound quality for my brand new DJI mics. Oh, much less professional this season, right?
Much less profesh. And that's okay.
It's going to be okay. We're doing a more raw season, and we'll see if we go back to the more highly produced stuff. But yes, we're sitting in your bedroom recording this, and we do work together each and every day. Remind the people why we work together every day.
We work together. Why do we work together? I got hoodwinked. I don't know. I got tricked.
Jessie runs the business.
She pays so great. I can't say no. We work together because ultimately my skill sets were really needed in the business so that she could really focus on her skill sets, which is things like this and her advocacy and educator work. And somebody still has to keep the wheels on the bus at the office. And
so why not the Nepo baby?
Why not the Nepo baby? I'm waiting for this to yield dividends, but it will one day. I have high hopes.
It will. Keep sitting on that egg.
She told me today not to get rid of something because she wants it for the museum.
Yeah, so there's going to be a museum.
We're already planning the museum.
Mm-hmm. I have stuff in the garage for it.
The Smithsonian dedicated to the history of property management.
Yeah, the history of property management in North Central PA.
Specifically.
Yeah.
Well, a girl can dream, and I won't throw away that prized item. I will save it for the museum.
Thank you.
Well, Jen, you manage property now.
Yeah.
You manage lots of property now.
Sure.
But what was the first thing you ever managed, except for me?
The first thing I managed, probably just a lot of tasks. When we were growing up at home, Mom had the daycare, and that's like the thing you think about when you think about growing up in our childhood home, is that there were always, it wasn't in our living quarters, but it was on the property. It was in our house building kind of, and the kids were always there. There was always tasks and things to be done in the daycare, and a do-it-yourself kind of family, entrepreneurial. And so I just remember there being a lot of tasks, a lot of things to do. And so I managed my time. And then the daycare, I was always the oldest kid, right? So
you learn to delegate.
Yeah.
You learn to delegate when you have an army of 3 to 5 year olds at your beck and call.
Yeah. There was always a dozen kids younger than me in the house, and only one was my sister, but the rest really were eager for my validation and stuff. So I had a little army, and I learned to manage them and harness their horsepower into things I wanted.
So after you were used for free in the daycare to delegate tasks and get stuff done, what were some of your early jobs and what stuck with you about those experiences?
Yeah, I mean, the first job was in the daycare, right? And when you just said the word managing, I thought of first job. I thought of like being 8 years old, going to third grade, and we had to feed the kids, and there would be like 6 to 8 kids in high chairs with like the cereal, and you'd mix it up in all the little bowls, and we had a wheelie office chair, and I'd be 8, and I'd put them all in the high chairs and feed them all, and then change them with cloth diapers at the changing table, and then put on my real shirt for school to go to school, because otherwise there'd be like mess on it. And so I remember that, and then that led, because mom had the daycare and all those daycare clients, I would babysit. And this is like the time of the babysitters club. So I would babysit, which was great because we lived in the country and parents were willing to give rides, and I didn't have a ride to like go anywhere. And we couldn't work legally before we were 14, so babysitting was it. And that led to catering. I did like catering for somebody that I babysat for, and they brought me into their catering business. And I worked at Dutch Wonderland because, oh my gosh, famously I told mom I don't want to work with kids anymore. So Dutch Wonderland is the amusement park that's actually specifically for small children in Lancaster, not even like Hershey Park. So I worked in the gift shop there. And then I waitressed, and I loved waitressing. But yeah, I mean, I did a lot of that. And then I did consulting in college and just after college before I got into real estate. But what was your question?
What stuck with you about some of those
oh my gosh,
experiences?
Just how much I didn't want to do those things. Like, so what stuck with me from like working in the daycare and being a nanny is I don't have children. I'm living a child-free life. That is a lot of work that was going to compete with this other thing. I knew I wanted to do something else professionally. Waitressing, what stuck with me there is that is a job I have always felt was a safety net. I always thought, like, if I did a big, bad, terrible thing or made a big, bad mistake and I couldn't make money professionally in real estate or something, or I needed money quick, I could go to like a diner. I can't go to like a chain restaurant. No. I've never successfully worked with a point of sale system. So I need to work where like you have to manage the cook's emotions and you're allowed to cuss, and they probably allow smoking inside. Like that is...
Encourage it maybe. Even.
I'm a sassy, like that like restaurant sitcom show where Alice said like, kiss my grits, like that show. That's the kind of vibe I want to have waiting tables where like everything's done in cash.
Yeah, locally you're more Buttery Biscuit and not so much Texas Roadhouse.
Right. We are no point of sale system. Please no.
No, give us a big old Texas yeehaw.
But I was very good at waiting tables. I had that sass. Or I'd bartend. That was something that stuck with me that I would like. I never did it professionally, but I think I'd be a good bartender, except the hours. I don't like to work at night. But anyway, yeah, that's stuck with me that I don't want to do those things. I really didn't want to work for other people. Mom and dad were not against working for other people, but did value entrepreneurship. Both mom and dad did, and had various entrepreneurial things going on growing up. So yeah, I think that's what stuck with me.
And if teenage Jen could see you now, other than how gorgeous you turned out to be.
Well, I do think I'm cuter. I do think I'm cuter now than I used to be.
Well,
yeah.
I think you're darn close to what you look like as a teenager, which is just wonderful. But if she could see you now, what do you think she would be shocked by?
I think she'd be shocked at how, I'd like to say the word confident, but the true word is arrogant I am about my business and about what I do professionally. Like, she was confident. She knew she was smart, but she didn't have that kind of, she didn't have any reputation. She hadn't done anything. She felt very capable. She felt confident, but I think if she looked at me today, she'd go, whoa, like you must have done something to have all this confidence. Young Jen knew that we were going to do something that we were in control of. She knew that, but she had no idea what it was going to be. No. And I haven't like accomplished it yet either. I'm still very like, I know, and I have that same feeling today. I'm going to do something big one day. I'm working on something big. It's going to take a long time, but I'm going to do that.
Well, and to that end, we know now that thing involves real estate.
Yeah.
But we didn't know it then. And we certainly didn't know after you got your undergraduate degree. because spoiler alert, you kind of fell into real estate a little bit, but tell us how you got into real estate and what made you stay in real estate.
I want to know what childhood Jessie thinks of adulthood Jen versus what she thought of childhood Jen.
Well, what adult Jessie thinks of childhood?
What would childhood Jessie or teenage Jessie think of adult Jen versus?
Well, probably the same as adult Jessie feels about adult Jen, and that is that you can be a bit much.
Sure.
But I think my threshold for you is lower than most people. And I think it's because my pure exposure to you. It is kind of a wild existence to be exposed to all that you are all the time, hours and hours a day. I sit 10 feet from you at the office and I hear you being on. You're on the phone, you're on video, you're coming back from meetings, and you are who you are. You're a live out loud, wildly arrogant type person. And not many people have exposure to their sibling in that way all the time. Every time I open up my social media, there you are. Just like everybody, if you follow Hold It with PM Jen or One Focus PM on the platforms, you know we're out there.
Yeah.
And because I'm, I think, a rising fan or whatever it is, I don't know.
You dutifully like everything, so the algorithm thinks you want to see it.
And of course, I'm an administrator on the account and things like that, so it's always at the top. And so, I think adult Jessie feels very similar to childhood Jessie, and that is that you are a lot, and you will, but this is truly, truly, truly who you are and who you will always be. And it's not bad or good to me. It's a very just objective
I take the gas out of the room. Like, professors have called me a force of nature. Like, people have used those phrases for me in the past, and not usually with good messaging.
Well, and my reaction to sharing space with you over the decades has certainly changed too. When I was a youngster, I felt the need to meet you where you were, or being compared to you all the time. We look alike, we sound alike, it's always the two of us together. And although I was a standout in my own ways, I did feel often compared to you.
Yeah.
And I've gotten really good with that in my adult. I could not care less that I'm not like you. I'm not happy that I'm not like you or anything like that. It's just, I don't care that I'm not at all like you. I don't care that I don't achieve what you achieve. I achieve different things.
Yeah.
And you don't seem to be bothered by what I achieve, and I'm not bothered by what you achieve. And now I just have it a lot square in my mind, kind of where our parents and the people who we surround ourselves, like how they really view us, and how I don't think my parents don't expect me to be you.
No. They treated us very much the same growing up, and we were always the girls, the unit, and we were only a year and a half apart, so we did everything together. And it's funny how we still now do everything together, but probably even more so than when we were children. We live 5 houses apart. Our lives are really intertwined, but I feel more my own person now than I did back then.
And I feel more my own person now. In fact, since we came back together 5-6 years ago, I think that's when I kind of really figured out who I was. And I think that's usual for women in their mid to late 30s to kind of hit that stride too. And it probably all just, a bit of a pinch point in my life where my life and circumstances kind of figured that out. But I'm cool with me. I'm cool with you. And childhood me was cool with you too. We were just normal sisters that bickered at everything we could possibly bicker about. I'm going to ask a question that I already regret asking because I know the answer and I know the 45-minute recital of the answer. But for our folks tuning in,
I won't make it 45 minutes.
Well, you better not.
Jesse's saying that because once in a job interview, I told this story, and when it was over, the story of like how I started the company, and when it was over and the guy left or whatever, she's like, "You realize that took 45 minutes," and I was shocked.
Well, you don't have a brief version of the story, so I'm hoping you came up with a brief version of the story, but you're right. How did you start One Focus? Where did it all begin?
I did multifamily property management from like 2004 to 2009, right after undergrad. I was a superstar leasing agent, and at 23 years old, they made me the manager of a 300-unit apartment complex. Managed for 3 or 4 different companies there, escalating in scale and everything. And then the housing crisis hit. And I lost my job and got a full ride to go to grad school at Penn State and get an MBA in finance and real estate. And I always wanted to get an MBA. I didn't want to do part-time, so that was a perfect fit.
But instead of studying, you were hitting those apps. You were swiping right or whatever kids did in 2009, 2010.
I was 29 years old and in college, so I was out feeling my oats. I was single, so I was on the app, or there was no apps. It was Match.com, and I met my husband, Dave. And over the 2-year program, basically it became clear we were going to be a thing. He had just moved here to Williamsport. He's a geologist to the oil and gas industry. And so I moved in with him, and now I'm an MBA in Williamsport. And if you don't know Williamsport, there's a reason. There's not jobs for us here. There's no apartment communities. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. And so I sent an email to like 20 different people on LinkedIn. Like, if you were anybody in real estate, if you were a developer, broker, you look like you did a lot back in 2012 when I did this, you got an email from me asking to hear about the industry. But I put in that email, like, I don't want to sell houses. Like, I'm not going to be your RE/MAX agent. And so the only person to say yes owned the independent market leading real estate sales company, and said, "Hey, everything that's going on here," and that's a long story, "we need property management. We don't do this, expertly. We're looking for that. Would you want to do it?" And, I'm really happy that they were the only person to say, "Hey, I'll talk to you." And I had just come out of grad school, so I was feeling very confident in my ability to start a business, and the idea of starting a business was very good to me. So we started a division of that company that very quickly got spun off. It had an initial name. It's, of course, known as One Focus Property Management now, and I bought out my partner over the years, and I'm the broker of it. But that was how it got started. It was because we were here in Williamsport, and we needed 2 good jobs. I told my husband when we decided to stay here, I'm not a trailing spouse. I know you could get relocated and things like that, but I'm in real estate. I'm in buy and hold real estate. So I want to develop a portfolio personally and professionally and work with it and do all these things. And we thought at first I'd have to travel for work, that I would have like a consultant's life. But we met my previous partner and built One Focus, and that's gone really well. And I found a real passion for serving these small landlords with their small properties. That came in so far under 45 minutes.
I'm still awake and everything.
Just a little applause for me.
Way to go. So when you first started One Focus and you were working with these small town landlords, how scrappy was it in the beginning?
Oh my God, it was the scrappiest.
Yeah, like give us a picture of what it was like in those early days.
Well, the real estate office, the sales company that I partnered with, so they offered the support in the beginning, and we were in their office, and they had, I don't know if you've ever been in a real estate sales office, but it is tight quarters. There's no like private offices for anybody but the broker, maybe the office manager. Everybody else is like 2-3 desks to a tiny little office. And so there was the one office that was really good. It was right by the broker. It was right in the front, good access to everything. And it had 2 senior realtors in it, and they kicked them out They kicked him out. One, I think he like had to be retired out, and the other one had to go get a new roommate somewhere, that actually came into the office. So she wasn't very happy with me. And there was a 1960s desk and a new Dell laptop in a box. And they were like, start the company. Go. By the way, you need to get your own phone line, right? And I was like, oh, okay. So I did absolutely everything. If it was free, I took it. So if it was like a set of shelves, if it was a tool, I would take things from vacants. I would take things from like estate sales. And
we're still drinking out of that water cooler today, 13 years later.
Yeah, the water in my cup out in the car is from the water cooler I pulled out of 513 Spruce Street at a move out. Like it had to be disappeared, and I didn't charge anybody to disappear it, so that was great. That's how scrappy it was in the beginning. And when I reflect on the beginning, there was just a lot more late nights. So like I would work all day taking calls and meetings and doing the things that had to be done during the day, but at night would be all the data entry. So stuff now that like there's so many other people to do, I would be like, if I signed a 20-door client, I was up all night putting those 20, I was building the doors in Appfolio. I was entering the owner's information, and I would just sit there like with these folders and do them. And sometimes I'd come home with like a grocery bag. I'd sign back in the beginning. There was just a lot more signing really fast. That first year, I think I signed 150 doors my first year. And it was just a lot.
We could really use another one of those years. We could use another banner year. That'd be great.
Yeah, no. So and nothing could cost anything. Everything was done myself. Oh, how scrappy it was the first year. This was a really dumb mistake. I didn't get professional snow removal. I didn't have that many properties with public walks. And as I did growing up, like we removed snow. That was one of our jobs at home. We had a lot to do because of the daycare and everything.
It's a low skill level.
It's a low skill level thing. I was like, I just don't have time to find a snow vendor for these like couple of sidewalks. If it snows, I'll do it. And Dave, my husband, has a snowblower, and he's from New England. And I thought, perfect. If it gets real bad, I'm going to use Dave. And one of the first snowstorms that year was bad. And I was out on West 4th Street at those Victorian mansions. And one thing I didn't account for was the slate sidewalks that are all jacked up, right? So I'm out there clearing snow, and it had been a couple years since I had cleared snow, and I wasn't as fit as I had used to be. And I'll tell you, Dave and I had a bit of a fight on West 4th Street together trying to clear this snow. He said to me, this was not going to be the way this was going to go. And I had to admit, like, defeat. I had signed too many properties. There was too much snow to remove. It just happened too fast. And I did get a snow vendor, but there was that one snowstorm with Dave and a snow blower out on West 4th Street. And that was real bad. That was a bad one.
We know Dave better now.
Dave is a more passive partner in One Focus. He's great at the parties and the networking and all of that, but it's okay. He is very good at what he does, and he's a tremendous partner in my life. That W-2 income is sweet. We love those bennies.
We do love those bennies. So, as a business owner, I'm sure you learn lessons every day and you never stop. But what's one of the hardest lessons you've had to learn?
Oh my gosh. The people.
That's what I was probably going to suggest. Like, of all the lessons you've learned and continue to learn the hard way, mistakes made with staffing, personnel.
Oh my gosh.
You know what's better than building generational wealth? Not a damn thing. And obviously the best way to do that is through buy and hold real estate. But managing your properties yourself, that's a one-way ticket to burnout. This is supposed to be an investment, not a burden. At One Focus Property Management, we don't just manage your rentals. We make buy and hold investment really work. First, get on over to onefocuspm.com. You'll get an inside look at our proven process, plus a ton of free resources for local investors. Then reach out to us so we can build a custom stabilization plan just for your property. We're the biggest, baddest property management team in Lycoming, Clinton, Northumberland, Montour, and Columbia counties. And we're here to give you more protection, less work, and no drama. That's onefocuspm.com.
People. The people I let into my world that I pursue, whether that be employees, clients. I was overconfident, like everybody is in their ability to suss out who they should be working with or who's okay. And you'll note, like, I'm a very black and white person. If I sense something's up with someone, I'm pretty vocal about it and I cut them out. But I'm kind of talking to myself. I might be saying to you, hey, something's up with Joe. Don't mess with Joe. But I'm really reinforcing to myself, like, Jen, your instincts are right here. Like, and you're not losing anything by kind of like ignoring Joe. I talk about shared values a lot because I think that's something that helps me maybe suss out earlier who's right and who's wrong in my world and in my life. Managing people, everything to do with people has been and still remains to be the hardest thing I do. The other hardest thing when I reflect on hard things are the conversations with my attorney, Austin. And I have a couple of attorneys, but Austin is the one I've had to talk to and go through a couple things with where I've had to roll over on I don't want to say roll over my principle. I had to roll over, turn the other cheek, even when in the principle I was right. So I've had to pay expenses that I don't think I should have had to pay, or had pain and suffering that I shouldn't have had to have, or whatever it was, because somebody used some legal tactic or something. And I would always say, like, where's the dignity? Like, right. I want dignity in this because I'm a very principled person. And he's like, Jen, you don't get that every time. And you have to make the financial decision of, do I fight? Like, do I give them the X number of dollars now or fight them and have it cost more? And that's been getting easier because the blows I've been taking have been appropriate for my size and scale. But as I grow in size and scale, the blows have grown with that. And that is something I very much don't look forward to continuing.
It is so hard not to fight when you know you're right.
Oh my God.
But that fight, when you're talking about the scale you're talking about, can get very expensive, and it's just not worth it sometimes. And that is so hard. It's even hard when it's not your money. So when I see it happening, it's not my money. Mm-hmm. No, I know it's my sister's money, and that makes a difference. But I just don't feel like these manipulators should win. And you just want to tell them, like, I know you're manipulating me and I'm so done with you. I'm so done that I'm willing to just pay you to go away. Mm-hmm. And let it be known, I'm paying you to go away.
And it's really hard for people like us who lead. We are the A+ goody two-shoe girls who, like, pay their taxes on time, who send the forms in on time, who don't do anything wrong. Like, I work really hard, and I say all the time, I'm interested in sleeping at night. I don't want to be worried when the other shoe's going to drop. I don't have skeletons in my closet. I live life out freaking loud. There are no mysteries here, but then when I have to, like, roll over or accept something I don't think I should have to, it hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah, and you wonder how they can sleep at night and where their peace of mind comes from. But
we're the only ones who wonder. They don't have any problem sleeping at night.
They don't. They don't. But was there a moment that ever pushed you to quit? I mean, or something less dramatic than that, sell or stuff like that? Tell us about
the embezzlement, which was really your entree into our business. And so that story goes in 2018. I discovered my bookkeeper. I mean, this is a really long and entertaining story that I'm legally allowed to tell, according to the attorney. But the long story short was they were addicted to prescription drugs, and it had led them to embezzle about $30,000 from the company.
In all kinds of creative ways.
And it was discovered, like, I know the date, it's emblazoned in my mind that I discovered it, was able to get, of course, the person out of the company really quickly. And that even when I say I discovered this, I was so shocked. I had so much trust in this person, just like I did all my employees. I famously say, if you told me that somebody stole $30,000 from me, I'd laugh right in your face. I'd be like, where'd they get it? Like, I don't have bank accounts full of money.
Yeah, like, what 30,000?
Yeah, what 30,000 do they have, right? I always think it makes me sound like such a baller to say somebody stole this from me and I didn't even know it. But when you have a business and there's a lot of transactions, like, They could have taken so much more. So over about 10 months, they took $30,000 and I discovered it. And I say it was so destabilizing to me personally that it was as if I discovered my husband had a whole other family, house, children, life. And it threw me into such a tailspin that I say I didn't know whether up was down, black was white, right was wrong. I really was untethered. And upon reflection, it was because I had so much trust in that person and I thought I was doing enough and the right things. And so all of a sudden, the fact that I wasn't, and I had been injured in this way, and by the way, opened up vulnerabilities to my clients' money, like that is a big deal to me. I did not trust myself. And so that evening I called you, I called mom, you call the people in your life and you're like, hey, this happened. And you guys said, do you need us to come out and help? Like, what do you need?
You didn't trust anybody and you thought you knew who was involved. You thought it was restricted to that one person, but we weren't sure. And you didn't know who all was involved, although it was a small staff. And I think you just wanted to have somebody else that you knew you could trust to do whatever you needed to do. So I came for a week and then mom came out for a month and helped get the books back together and figure things out. And you're right. That was my entree into everything. I worked with your team for about a week and we kind of had this secret behind closed doors we were all working on, and we were working kind of on the business during the day, during business hours. And then at night, all night long, we were doing the tasks the forensic accountants gave us and triple tying checks. And oh man,
it was nuts. You guys made that offer. And I think I reflexively said, no. And like later that night, I was like, if you're serious about like getting some PTO and coming here, it was so clear to me. I just needed another person in the space that knew what was going on. Because when these things are happening, you're not telling your whole staff. You're not running around. Because like you said, I didn't know who was involved, what was going on. And so, and by the way, everybody had more than enough work to do before the bookkeeper was fired. So now we have the bookkeeper's work, plus the work of the business. And then at night, like you said, I couldn't afford forensic accountants. I had just been robbed blind. So we, for a month, I worked 12-hour days, reconstructing the 10 months of that person's employment to get the full picture of what had happened. And I'm very proud to say, I cannot talk about this story without saying that Austin, my attorney, and I together were actually able to get full restitution on that money, including the expense. In total, it was $40,000. But over a course of 5 years, I got full restitution on that money. And the attorney, I credit the attorney with his advice, and he credits me with that month I spent doing this work and putting it together that was able to allow us to negotiate a payment plan and a series of legal devices that got us paid back.
You talked about how your staff then and now had plenty to do before there was something that sent the whole place topsy-turvy. Do you think people underestimate how hard property management is, good property management is?
That's it. Bad property management is so
we should do that.
Easy. Literally, I was having a conversation with a commercial lender today, and I was talking about referral opportunities, and this guy could not come up with one thing we did besides collecting the rent. He thought an assignment of rents in a default situation was all he needed. And I was like, yeah, but like people are living in the building. It requires service and management, and like he could not think of anything besides just making sure you got the like $1,000 a month. So yeah, bad property management, tremendously easy, which is why so many people are doing it. Good property management is really, really tough. And it's tough because it's so task heavy. And it's extra tough when it's this, what we'll call single family rental space, where I'm managing a single family house, a 3-unit building here, there, everywhere. Just like the people who listen to this, they're in smaller markets, they're individual owners, they're doing this. They're doing scattered sites. So it might take them 2 hours to drive to all the doors in their portfolio. So it's all the tasks that go into it, and then the processes that those tasks go into, and the experience it takes to know how to run those processes. So how do I consistently attract
qualified tenants. That's something that comes with a lot of experience, and it takes a lot of tasks. How do I figure out if the person applying is a qualified tenant? Tons of tasks. So,
and then holding every prospective tenant to that set of rigid principles, it takes so much dedicated effort.
it really does. And so what we're out there doing is, I think, setting a new standard for property management, certainly in this market. But that's, yeah, somebody once told me years ago, this is the business that nobody thinks is a business. When you talk to our clients, they cannot imagine what 15 full-time employees are doing every day to run a 600-door portfolio. They just can't.
Nope.
They're just like, what are you doing all day? Why are you not sitting there ready to take my call? And the fact that we're like, yeah, like, we're busy. We're out. We're doing things. We're meeting with your tenants. We're in the units. We're finding cheaper, better ways to do things. Like all the things that you would do if all you had to do was, run your properties.
And so when you were in your 20s and you were working for somebody else, and then in your 30s, you started working for yourself. During these times, you've changed the way you talk about real estate. Mm-hmm. And especially in the last 3 to 4 years, you've really honed in on what you're passionate about, what makes you tick, mm-hmm. what you think you can make a change in, what needs a change out there. So what has made the biggest difference over the years in how you think about buy and hold real estate? And what's one big belief that has shifted the way you think about it?
Oh gosh. Well, it's this generational wealth obsession that I've been talking about. That's really the difference, because if you look at where I came from, multifamily, we're making money for property owners, which are sometimes individuals, but not usually at that scale. It's usually funds and partnerships and things like that. It's really highly percentage.
You're as passionate about creating generational wealth as you are about not creating another generation.
Right. Well, and as I always say, like back then I was waking up to make rich men richer, right? And that's exactly what I learned in business school.
Raise the frogs to feed the snakes.
There you go. So I was making rich men richer. I come to Williamsport and I start working for the people of Williamsport. I would just say normal day-to-day citizens. These are plumbers, teachers, nurses, all the things. And they own these properties either accidentally or with some purpose. And so I started seeing people doing this, and it looked like our family. And I knew our family's story with real estate, which just to say quickly, mom and dad raised us, mom had the business, dad had W-2 jobs and some side hustles in Lancaster County. When they got us into undergrad, decided they wanted a full-time in their RVs and kind of still work, but kind of a semi-retirement. They did that. And while they did that, through me helping them, they've built a small rental portfolio. Mm-hmm. And over the last 25 years, that has grown their net worth and has enabled them to have more financial freedom in this carny lifestyle of living in the camper that they like to do. And that's a whole thing. We'll talk to them about it on an episode future. But when I talk about generational wealth, I see how owning and holding these small, what seem like insignificant rental properties, really, I mean, you wouldn't look and be overly impressed by anything in the portfolio. It, in my family, has meant the generational wealth you and I have experienced compared to our parents and our grandparents is extreme. You and I have pretty much never had to work in a job where they were mistreating us or abusing us, because we were educated really well. We were raised really well. And we had this safety net of parents who weren't eager to give us checks. That wasn't it. But we were never going to starve. We were always going to be taken care of because they had the resources to do it. And we had the boldness. In fact, my first property management job, I almost quit. And I remember I said, I don't have FU money. I am 24 years old. I'm exactly what you know me to be. But I live in a house at that time that my parents own, and they have enough money that I'll never starve. So I don't have to take abuse at this employer. And that really has been a theme through my life. And so when I talk about generational wealth, I know that people sometimes roll their eyes and think that I'm talking about
making so much money that I leave it to my children and they don't have to work. And that's not it. That's not the reality for our clients or for the people that I'm helping and I'm so passionate about. So in the last 4 to 5 years, what I've gotten really passionate about is bringing that message of, hey, buying and holding these assets means that your kids, your grandkids have a much higher degree of freedom in their life. If you can grow this kind of wealth slowly, surely, and provide that foundation, you can finance businesses they want to do. You can finance life changes that they need if they get themselves into a sticky spot. You can provide them that safety net. And it's not about the houses and how much money's there. It's about having a financially secure future for them to build from. And by the way, something I'm getting a little sensitive to now as we get older and my in-laws and our parents are getting older, our parents have that real estate and that financial foundation they're taken care of through their last days. You and I do not have line items on our personal budget for mom and dad's care, and hopefully we don't ever need to. If we do, I'm sure we will, but they've planned and that real estate will serve them, which gives us a freedom because you and I both know people in our age range who are financially to some degree supporting parents who aren't even fully retired yet. And so when I talk about generational wealth and the power of buy and hold real estate, it's here. It's so accessible. I mean, you can get into a rental property for under $20,000, right? And you can work hard at it and hold it for a long time and have this asset that supports you and your family and future generations. And that's what I am so passionate about. And I'm so glad I get to take the learnings I got from making rich men richer, the learnings I got from the fancy MBA school, and I bring them to this small community and I help these people hopefully with something they wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Because before me, there was just realtors doing this very haphazardly on the side. I have pushed the envelope for making them do really it was tenant leasing and to some degree rent collection they were doing for people. And now they're doing a little bit more, but not much.
Yeah, they're collecting a little more rent, but not much.
Well, because I've raised the rents out there.
I know. Well, and as we should.
Oh my God, don't tell everybody I raised the rents. I already get enough nasty messages online.
You told them. You don't tell them that then. So with real estate investment, you talk about how easy it can be, especially in our region. It's very accessible to achieve that. But if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing about real estate investors or investing or investments, like what would you change if you could change something?
I would get everybody in the investing system. So when we think about that, you've got the investor, you've got the property manager, but they already know, the lender, the realtor, everybody to understand the value of education for the investor. That if I'm a teacher who has enough money and finds a deal that works, it doesn't mean I'm prepared to run it. And I was talking to that lender today and I was like, do you ever require your borrowers, your investors to have property management or to get some education? And he's like, well, we really value it when they have the right kind of person on their team and this, that, and the other. But he really went back to the numbers. And so I want to wave a magic wand and say, yes, the numbers have to write. You have to be able to underwrite the deal. But we have to understand that it's more than just the buy. You're going to have to hold this for a long time. Even lenders should at least be thinking about the term of the loan. They should at least be looking at least. Does borrower Joe have the wherewithal to run this 4-unit? But we do not see that. We see lenders writing mortgages on these properties to people who have no idea what they're doing and don't even care if their current properties are performing.
No.
And so I would like to see them get involved. I would also like to see municipalities and the government start to say, we value the role of housing providing so much. We are going to do something to incentivize investors to get education and do it better. I just wish there was more pressure to I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say, landlords have to have a license, but there should be, to some degree, if you mess up, if you don't provide, clean and safe housing, if you do violate the law and take advantage of tenants' rights and things, then maybe you don't get to do this without certifying that you're good enough at this, because housing is so important. It is so crucial to our communities that to just allow anyone to be out there providing housing willy-nilly is dangerous. So yeah, if I could wave a magic wand, there'd be a higher barrier to entry to this business in terms of education.
And more accountability.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
Preach.
So you are a real human being, not just PM Jen. You were Jen before you were PM Jen, and she is a whole person with interests outside of real estate. Not many, and getting fewer by the day. But what is something that you think people get wrong about you when they take in just PM Jen?
Yeah.
When they take in only PM Jen content, they're watching the YouTube, they're listening to the podcast, maybe they're attending live events. What do they think? What do you think they're getting wrong about who Jen Roullens is?
You're not just buying rentals. You're building a future. One where your time is your own, your family is secure, and your hard work actually means something. That's the real power of buy and hold real estate. But managing those properties yourself, that's how dreams turn into burnout. At One Focus Property Management, we turn rental properties into wealth building machines. Step 1, go to onefocuspm.com. You'll get an inside look at our proven process and free resources built for local investors. Step 2, reach out and we'll build you a custom stabilization plan to take the weight off your shoulders. We've been the market leader for 13 years in Lycoming, Clinton, Northumberland, Montour, and Columbia counties. And we do it all to give you more protection, less work, and absolutely no drama. That's onefocuspm.com. Go check it out.
Yeah. Well, if you see PM Jen talking, she is arrogant. She is very authoritative. And she speaks very certainly. And that is very true of me as a person when it comes to real estate and property management and this thing that I'm expert at. But I don't think you see that I am a very empathetic, kind and generous person. Because when you hear me talking professionally, you hear me advocating for, your private property rights and things like that. And I know I talk about it in a much more even way than a lot of, I'll say some investor people online. I talk about it in a much more even way, but the truth is I talk very certainly, and I'm very encouraging of landlords to stand up for themselves, which gets a lot of hate. But I'm a reasonable, balanced person. I am kind. I can be quiet. I can be. I'm not usually, but I can certainly be quiet.
And I think that you know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And that's when you either get quiet or get very curious and ask tons of questions. And although your platform is talking about the things that you're an expert in, when it's something you have no idea about, you are very curious. You ask a lot of questions, and you certainly don't set yourself up like a know-it-all in many circumstances.
Yeah, I know what I don't know, and I am very curious. I like to know how things work. I liked in grad school, I liked to go on the factory tours. I joined the supply chain club so I could go on the factory tours, and I love that. But yeah, so people don't know that about me.
And PM Jen is very confident.
Yeah.
She's very confident. Do you think Jen Roullens is as confident as PM Jen?
Huh. Yes, but about the same things. Just about the same things. The rest of it, I'm very, I'm just like a polite do-gooder. I go into the store, please, may I? And, I don't have quite that persona all the time, but I do like to be a ham bone. I like to be extra. The girl at the Dunkin' Donuts calls me Hollywood. I like that. Yeah.
Right. But you also meet others' expectations so that you get your expectations met. It's a give and take. And I operate in the same fashion that I will do everything I say I'm going to do. And I do it with every inch of my being, and I expect the same out of others. And it lets me look down from my high horse so easily.
The view is great from our high horse.
The view is spectacular from up here on our high horse. And if all you have to do is all you have to do, it's not so bad. We should get
a commission done of us on very tall horses.
Very high horses. A horse in high-heeled horseshoes.
Yes, the high-heeled horse parade.
The view is unbelievable up here. And it is so easy to be so confident and arrogant to an extent when you know you're living right, you're meeting expectations, and you are holding up your end of the bargain. And it's so easy to let others know when they're not, when you are.
Yeah. And, as I say all the time, like, this ass has to cash the checks this mouth writes. And I do. I write some checks with this mouth, but I do deliver on them. And I can have this kind of arrogance in this small market because I have mastered it. This is my market. This is mine. I know it. You come around here and start saying, oh, there's a property listed. I've been in it. Mm-hmm. I can tell you. I can tell you what gross stuff's in the basement. I know. Like, that confidence, but it's just a small market. So I shouldn't say it wasn't that hard. I've been here 13 years now, like, going through hundreds of doors a year. It takes a little time, but you master it.
And it takes time. It takes doing the weird stuff, the gross stuff, and really, really earning your chops. And so you said, like, this is your market. You know it so well. And I think we all have an idea of what your impact to date and your future impact on the real estate in this market will be. Mm-hmm. But what do you think your impact will be on kind of the bigger picture real estate industry? Maybe state or bigger region or even national. What do you think the end result's going to be when we're putting you in a box?
The end result, when you're putting me in a box, the things that they'll say I did, they'll say I set a new standard for property management, at least in this region. That's already done. Checked. Yeah. Across Pennsylvania, I hope they'll say that I got a separate property manager license from the Real Estate Commission and required financial, like, self-reporting. I want financial auditing, and I'm working on it. I've got the technology provider. I've got the legislator. It's a bipartisan issue. I'd like to do some lobbying to make that happen because that will protect consumers here in Pennsylvania. And consumers, so vulnerable here. If you're a property management consumer, girl, you in danger. Like, you in danger, girl. Like, you need to be watching out for your money, managing your manager. My clients never ask. I wish they would, because I have great answers for them. We're doing a great job of all of that. Nationally, I want to be known as the person who talks to DIY real estate investors, the mom and pops, from a rational way. Right now, if you are a do-it-yourself investor and you're out there looking for help on, my tenant isn't paying rent, or I can't lease my property, or, hey, help, I'm having a maintenance problem and my tenant's insisting I pay their hotel expenses, right? Normal questions that come up. They do not have support. For love or money, they can't get a really good answer. And that is very, very difficult. And so I have a vision of creating platforms and education and things that they can get those resources, and that I can even if I'm just a part of that, I'd like other people to come in and serve that. And I'd like there to be a reputable place where you can go. Because right now, influencers fill that void, and influencers be influencing, and it's not the right way. It's bad. And
so you talked about your impact on the real estate industry and a little bit about where kind of 𝐵𝐺&G plays into that. And you had said, like, you want to be part of it, you want to be all of it. So what do you think 𝐵𝐺&G has in the future? A movement, a media conglomerate? Where's she going?
Well, It's twofold, right? So there's the One Focus family of companies. So the vision at One Focus, which we are currently a property management company, construction and maintenance company. We are trying to be a turnkey company. We're out there trying to get some deals so that we can work them and sell them retail. And then there's other members of that family of companies. So there's the advisory arm, syndications, and, possibly even sales one day. So that family of companies serves that do-it-yourself investor, right? Anything they need to dream a portfolio, acquire it, run it, dispose of it, everything is in that family of companies. And to paint what that means is that the professionalism of that company will not only serve our local investors, but will make it a destination market for out-of-town investors. So out-of-town investors, as I famously say, if you're sitting in Connecticut, Philly, whatever, and you've got $50K burning a hole in your pocket, you want to get into real estate, it goes nowhere in your home market. But you come here, all of a sudden you're cooking with some gas. But the problem is it's an unsophisticated market. So you roll in, you don't have the professionals here ready, willing, and able to provide you all the services you need to truly be a passive investor. We are doing that now. We are expanding our services, and that is the local vision. And I love that. I want them to write in Forbes, hey, you looking for a place to invest in real estate? Check out North Central PA, based in Williamsport. There's this family of companies that's making it lickety split, awesome. You get returns. That'd be great. Outside of One Focus, I've been saying for probably, 13, 14 years, I want to be, it's getting to be a dated reference, the Susie Orman of rental real estate. And the only model I have is someone like her, and that always ends up in television, but I'm not dead set on having a TV show. That's not the vision. The vision is finding a way to talk very directly, transparently with real estate investors and educating them. So right now it's the podcast, it's the platform, it's the live events I do, it's the social media. I don't have a course. I don't do coaching. I'm guessing some of those things will come in the future, but at least the models I've seen for them, I'm not overly attracted to. I don't want to just make my thing the thing. I have a whole lot more experience I'm coming from. So I don't know what it looks like, but I always say the Susie Orman of rental real estate. And Susie had a lot of products, and I really like how she talked to people about personal finance. She made it approachable. She was dogmatic. She was forceful. And I think she did a really good job of, she was one of my primary sources of personal finance education in the 2000s. So I see that model, and that is something I think about. And I don't know what it's going to look like. I say, all the time, I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall over here. I'm just thinking of things, but I don't have a big budget. Clearly, as we sit in your bedroom recording this podcast, my sister has to interview me. How embarrassing.
So if you had a big budget, if you could double your resources, by tomorrow, money, time, people, what would you do first? Other than, of course, give me a big fat raise. What would you do second then? What would you do second after that if your resources did grow exponentially?
Give Jesse a big fat raise.
Number one.
Yeah, I would probably find a really good production company to help me start putting together education courses, because I'm doing this on my own, right? Right now it's just me and ChatGPT. So,
love you, chat.
But I'm not, I'm busy. I'm running a business. I'm getting new clients. I'm investing in properties. I'm doing all the things. So I'd love a partner. If I had double the time, resources, everything, I would go find the best partner I could to help me take this message out there and help me strategize how to make the economics work. Because that's not the dream. I'm very driven by the idea of when I get emails off my videos, and it happens sometimes off my YouTube videos, I'll get these emails or these comments or these calls even thank you so much. I was having this problem and this helped me. It was exactly what I needed. That's it. If I could just get one of those a day, I guess I'll eat beans. I don't know. In fact, I got an email from a guy who knows me and follows me, and he's concerned that I'm not going to be making enough money. He's suggesting other ideas I should be, with my expertise, that I should be doing to make more money for my family, which is so sweet. But I get it. If you look at what I'm doing, you're like, I don't get it. What is she doing? And I think I'm still trying to figure out what form my messaging is going to take to impact those people and to get through to them. And I used to think, oh, I'm just talking to do-it-yourself investors and this, that, and the other. I think as I expand my scope geographically and want to talk to like all Americans, I'll probably niche down. And my guess is right now, if I had to bet, it'll be millennial women. I feel very connected to, I'm a feminist. That's probably one thing. People absolutely know about me because I talk about it all the time. But I'm a feminist, and I believe that, you know, one of the things I can do is help bring that generational wealth message to women, which absolutely identifies with them. They do not participate in real estate investing because of their intimidation at what they don't know. Mm-hmm. So men view property management services as something they need because it's inconvenient, or they don't have the time, or it's like maybe it's geographically inconvenient. That's why they get property management. Women tend to get property management because they don't know. They know they don't know what they don't know, and they sense that is too much risk and seek to alleviate that risk. Where the men have all the confidence that if they had all the time and they were there, they could just do everything, that they wouldn't need a service provider. So I want to open up this asset class to women as we get more economic freedom. And by the way, have all the economic responsibility in many of the households. I want to open that up and make that possible for them, because when you equip women like that and they can pass that on to the generations, that's a really great way to do this. And by the way, I love men and I'll help them too, but they're just a little bit harder to love sometimes, at least in the dynamics I've experienced.
Sure. And then there's a lot out there by men for men. They've got plenty. They've got plenty. But people who are, you know, like what they're hearing here, maybe they're kind of new to PM Gen. Where can they find more of you? What platforms you're on? What kind of stuff is out there? And where are you going to be coming up?
Yeah. Locally, I check holditwithpmgen.com for any places I'm going to be. They'll be put on the website there. Also on that website is my free playbook. So I am publishing a free playbook. It's the 2025 No Bullshit Guide to buying and holding rentals in North Central PA. And it is about 20 pages of market data and my breakdown of this market. So if you are interested in the North Central PA market, or you're here, just hop on holditwithpmgen.com, look for the playbook link, and you can get that. Otherwise, I put everything out right now on social media. So Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. We are putting, and the podcast, of course, we're putting all of that out right now. And I'm getting better at posting different things to different platforms. That's like, I used to just make a piece of content and put it on everyone. And so this quarter I've been experimenting with creating more like channel specific content and getting things out there. So you might find that you like my LinkedIn content a little bit more, which actually tends to be a little bit more about running the property management business. And then the other channels, particularly the YouTube, I am talking right to you investors. I want you to be watching this, taking notes. And then, hopefully I get to put together, I was just talking with somebody yesterday about doing like another networking mixer, because I just pulled my networking mixers. I'm going to focus on a more private kind of like thing. But doing something with them, and I can definitely see in the next year putting on like a conference of some kind, whether it be online or in person. I want to bring this to people. They need it and want it. They're asking these questions on Facebook groups all the time.
They do need it desperately. Well, I appreciate you kind of letting us in a little bit and getting the inside scoop on PM Gen and Jen Rulins as well, and learning what your background was and how it makes you tick today and where you're going in the future. It's so important for people to kind of have a vision of where all this is going and what the whole purpose is. So
this recording's going in the museum.
Oh, definitely going to be in the museum.
It's going to be one of those things that you walk up with a special little tag and you have to put it over the reader, and then like you get to listen to the episode.
Should we include the bloops, the bloopies, the bloopers?
The bloops.
Well, that's all the questions you prepared for me to ask you today.
Thanks so much for doing it. Later.
Hey, it's PM Jen. That stands for Property Manager Jen. And if you're in this game to build real wealth that gives your family options, freedom, and security, you're in the right place. I specialize in the hold part of the buy and hold strategy. With over 22 years of experience managing portfolios of 300 to 700 doors, I've seen it all, and I'm not here to sugarcoat it. See, holding real estate is powerful, but it's also gritty, complicated, and full of surprises. And that's why I created Hold It with PM Jen, to give you the real stories, the real advice, and the real strategy you need to hold strong for the next 30, 40, even 50 years. So follow me at Hold It with PM Jen on socials, and let's never sell, okay?